When God adopts, it's through the blood that he adopts. If we mirror our life and look at our life in parallel with some of these women we've talked about, it's clear to see that our ways can't sustain after a certain amount of time. Something's got to break. We all hear the generic message that can get a little redundant when you hear pastors talk about you can't do it alone, and that's encouraging, and Christ is my rock. But let's drill into it so we can do more with that. Like, we've been doing it in parallel like them with our own situations for so long, and some of us have finally hit a moment where we hit that bottom point and we realize we can't sustain it this way. Can I tell y'all something about how I'm feeling? Can I share my feelings? So, we had a house fire 2 weeks ago, and we've been getting it taken care of, and we've been staying at an undisclosed location. And at first I thought I was going to lose some LBs because there was no food. I'm like, I like this. Get rid of my pantry, Lord. Smoke it all out. I don't need to eat that crud anyway. He said crud. I don't know. I learned that word. See, I learned that from my parents. I repeat what my parents taught me. See that? So we stay at an undisclosed location, which happens to be getting their whole house floor removed. And so at the undisclosed location, there's fine young gentlemen showing up with saws, cutting out floor and carpet, and why 5 children, and we're all just sleeping in the upstairs like bunkers, and man, the drill's going at 7 and the country music, and they're just having a ball down there, and I'm like, this is great. I can get over it. God spared us, And so I'm thinking, at least I'm gonna lose some weight from this. And all of a sudden, the next day, I get over there, and there's donuts, and then there's the cinnamon bagels, and Asiago, and then there's Cheetos, and then there's like Papa John's pizza, and then there's Crunch and Munch, and then there's little orange candy slices with the sugar all over them you buy in the bulk, so you can eat them like Tic Tacs. There's that. Oh, then they don't have anything healthy to drink. They only have soda. This is where God sent us. And like day after day, I feel myself killing me softly with this junk, killing my whole world. Who likes Lauryn Hill? Anyway, the Fugees, come on, somebody. Is anybody alive in the 90s and just remember some of the greatest songs ever? Okay. And she was in Sister Act, Sister Act 2. Sister Act 1. I don't remember which Sister Act. Anyway, it sounds funny, but today I'm like, that's it. I'm getting my own food. I went and got a box out of my house that these people brought to pack up my stuff, and I took a box, because I'm paying for it anyway, or the insurance is, and I'm going to the grocery, and I'm getting my special peanut butter, and my zero-carb wraps, my frozen healthy choice meals, and I'm going to change something. I can't keep eating this junk every day because it's killing me slowly, softly. It's affecting my brain. It's affecting my gut. It's affecting my real gut. It's affecting everything, baby. And it sounds funny, but day after day after day, eventually it will catch up with you until you replace it. I can't keep saying, well, I'll just eat a little bit of the pizza every day and it'll be fine. Eventually, I got to say, I got to replace this thing. And so as much as God loves everybody he saves, he knew the Messiah could not come like this. So he didn't just extend the tree, he replaced it with pureness through the Virgin Mary. I'm going to the grocery right after if anybody needs anything. I'm going to get a bunch of those frozen meals that go in my freezer and then they never get eaten. But you feel good for like a day. I did something healthy. I bought healthy stuff. Yeah, it's like New Year's resolutions. But if you don't wipe the slate clean at some point, God will. Michelle, I can tell what she's thinking right now. See, we had some messes, and this is not God's will, but it was kind of funny. We make jokes like there's some messes we could just never get cleaned up in 17 years, but yet God just took them out of our house this week. I'm like, there's a blessing in everything. You think the devil takes your home? God just cleaned up our mess. Because sometimes you got to wipe the slate clean. You got to wipe it clean. Pureness cleanses what is flawed. How dare he say I'm flawed? I'm not saying you're flawed. I'm saying we're all flawed by the curse of sin, and nothing can eradicate sin except pureness. How can you wipe sin clean with more sin? How can you wipe sin clean with something in the gray area of truth? It's just a white lie. Okay, it's called lying. It's just a this, it's just a that. That's just an excuse where I came from, and I do that too. And after enough years go by, you'll see it's just not paying the bills. It's not working. You got to wipe it clean sometime. And so that's what God is doing here. He's smart like that. He knew where they'd end up before they even started. He knew Mary had to be. He knew shortcuts won't work. God needs new. Do you want to be cleaned or be new? How many want to be new? How many like a new car? If somebody had the choice of a brand new Cybertruck that's never coming out, though I did see one on social media, someone spotted one in the parking lot, and then they got criticized because it's so ugly. That's why it's cool, because it's ugly. It's like a tank, man. Or they'll go get the beater on the side of the road with the dents in it, and they're going to say, look, I'm going to go get you some hubcaps at Kmart. Yeah, they make the snap-on kind, not even the nice kind, the snap-on kind, the plastic kind that if you kick real hard, they'll crack. And we're going to clean it real good, and we're going to we'll replace the engine, and we're going to try to fix the dents on the side, but, you know, the paint's not going to match, and you're still going to see like this thing's been wrecked a few times if anybody bought a used car before. Okay, that's why they devalue. So how many would choose the Cybertruck? Let's take the Cybertruck. Let's take Elon Musk out of the conversation. I don't want to get political. How many would choose the old beater that's just still broken, or God said, here, I got something brand new to replace it? We would take the new thing, right? I mean, come on. I know there's that one person saying who's just a purist. No, I would not do anything fun or good. It's just got to be pure and natural. I'm all organic with everything in my life. Bologna sandwich. Okay? So God is saying here, what I did for Mary, I will do for you. You just don't know yet because I'm just being born at this point. But wait 30 years, people. He's talking to his people that killed him, and they still didn't listen. Sounds familiar. And he's talking to people today, 2023, and they still don't listen, except this much. He says, I can replace it. I can replace that part. I can make you new. I can make you completely new if you want me to. Remember what she said, blessed is she who believed that the Lord would fulfill his promises to her. What does that say? Mary was faithful, therefore God did, based on faith. Every time we see God do something special in the Bible, what happened before it? Faith. There has to be faith for God to move. That's why we say you step, I step, not God, you step, then I'll step. It's I'll step, and then God will step, because he's waiting for me to go first. That's faith. It's embarrassing, but sometimes God wants you to just admit, say, it won't work. My way won't work. Some of the best things you can ever do is fall hard enough to go, this is not working. I need to hear it, God. I need to speak it. I need to declare that I've realized this is not working. You know what the first thing God did when he created the heavens and the earth? He spoke it first. You know what the first thing we did when we declared we were going to plant? I'm thinking like a potter. I got issues. Plant the church. Spoke it. Thought about it for a long, long time. But when I spoke it, whoo, this weight fell, Vince. It's because when you speak, you hear, and then you do. It's the birthing process of the conception in your heart. And then it leads to action. Faith is belief in action. So he knew Mary would do by her faith ahead of time, so therefore she was chosen. And it had to be a blood covenant. It couldn't be an adoption for the Messiah. She was the fulfillment, replacing the mistakes the ancestry had made in the past. That's why this became a new covenant. When Jesus actually died and rose, the covenant went into action. But when he showed up, the plan had been revealed of what the new blueprint was going to look like to them. And they knew this thing might really happen. You know, I do that with our church. I see this stage and I go, this thing might really happen. Like, there's really a stage there. I'm in denial myself, y'all. I'm like, what is this thing? What's going on here? How's this going to happen? Because you get numb after a while. You get numb, and you start forgetting, look before your eyes, son. Look before your eyes, daughter. Like the kids thing, like it sounds no big deal to people who are used to having kids' church, but when you see nothing for so long, eventually you start going, is it really going to open? There's a lot of gumballs in there, Vince. You got to step towards it and declare it and do it. Don't worry about the world. Give it to God. Do what he says. Faithfulness overcomes anything the world will throw at you. And it's going to be nuts in here. We got subwoofers going here. We've got mains hanging up here. We've got LED screens. I mean, y'all haven't seen nothing. It's going to blow your mind. It's going to make some of you mad. I like that in a good way. It's going to rub some shoulders because we're stirring up soil here. We're not come to just tell you everything's fine because that's what they wanted to hear. God said, I've come to seek and save that which is lost. And he who is not whole he who is whole doesn't need a physician. But until you realize actually the people that think they're whole are sick, you can't be healed. You can't be replaced with new. And so everything God does is a mirror of that rise, fall, redemption, restore process. Look, here it is again. We see Jesus and Mary. Mary's replacing the sin. What does Jesus do when he goes to the cross? He replaces our sin. What did God do through each woman? He got to the Messiah by the fall of Israel, and he still brought them back the Messiah. He redeemed Israel through this. Like the parallel is everywhere at different levels if you abstract it out and look closer. And then it won't put you to sleep anymore when you read it. Next time you read Matthew 1, you're going to go, I remember when the pastor talked about Tamar. And he talked about the Tamia song. And I remember when he talked about Rahab and what she did for a living. And you're going to start seeing more in this instead of just glossing through it because you're going to have context. And it's going to change your thought process.